Welcome to VMblog's coverage of VMware Explore 2023 taking place in Las Vegas at the Venetian. Today I have the pleasure of having Vasu Murthy, who is the VP of Products at Rubrik. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Brian.
Maybe you can start by telling us a little bit about the company, since some of our readers may not have heard of Rubrik before.
Certainly, happy to. So Rubrik's mission is to secure world's data. Why? Data is the most important asset for any business. And every day, every minute, the data is being attacked by cyber attacks. In fact, some say every 11 seconds a cyber attack is going on. And these attacks are relentless and they sometimes succeed, but there's still a lot of times they succeed. Our goal is to help our customers be cyber resilient. What does it mean? Know about their risks so they are best protected against these attacks, but also provide cyber recovery, which is, in any case, in any situation, we want them to be back up and running quickly, which means recover their data, recover their apps, get up and running. Because the best thing you could do is to get up and run. You can never be sure you'll never fall.
Now we're here today, obviously, talking about the trade show, right? VMware Explore, and I know you're a VMware partner. Could you maybe talk a little bit about how Rubrik is partnered with VMware and what does that partnership look like?
Absolutely. In fact, our partnership with VMware dates to 2015. Our company was founded in 2014. In fact, we launched our first product at that time, VMworld 2015. And I think we were best of show at the time. And VMware continues to be one of the largest workloads we protect, the deepest support in our ecosystem of functionality. We protect about 15 exabytes of VMware data around the world, and that's still growing really, really phenomenally. And thousands of customers around the world rely on Rubrik for high performance, cyber resilience, and data protection and recovery. So yeah, it's just great to be here.
So what things specifically does your company offer somebody who already has a VMware implementation, and what kind of problems do you guys solve for them?
Absolutely. So, I mean, our Rubrik Security Cloud is one offering that is the broadest and deepest cyber resilience suite out there for VMware. So what are the problems that is solved, right? If you want to back up and recover VMware applications quickly, that's one problem. You can recover in a disaster situation or in a cyber incident. And cyber incidents are specifically complex because you want to recover the safest as well as fastest, right? You don't want to recover the malware and have it again attack you. We provide orchestrated recovery for applications in that situation, and we can have you fail over, fail back to VMware in AWS, Azure, GCP, and fail over, fail back with lowest RPO, RTO. In fact, we protect VMware with sub-minute with your IO APIs. That's just about the backup and recovery data protection. Beyond that, the problems we solve are to find out the risks in data, continuously scan for anomalies, whether it's encryption or malware at file or entire VM level. So if you have to recover, the blast radius. The biggest problem in recovery, in cyber recovery, is what do I recover? Do I have to recover the entire environment or just a specific set of files? Know where sensitive data lies, so you know what could be exfiltrated and could be an extortion target. Faster incident response, because we can pinpoint those malware signatures in the backup without restoring. So you can go back and say, hey, when did this malware first get into my environment? And we can go search the backups and get you the answer. And periodically test cyber recovery plans. Currently, CIOs don't have a good idea how long would it take for them to recover from a cyber attack. You can actually simulate those and test. So these are the kind of problems our customers are coming to, and we continue to make this even broader and better, but we believe it's the best solution out there today for VMware.
Now, I know this is the first time that we've had a chance to talk on one of these, videos like this. Maybe if you wouldn't mind just expanding a bit deeper, double clicking on Rubrik's technology, just to give us a deeper dive into it.
Absolutely, David. So the first thing that we got to do is the backups are never lost, right? So turns out in most legacy environments, the first thing the attackers do is to go delete the backup. And then they go attack the production systems, and there's no way, a company can recover without paying the ransom. So we are built with zero trust principles, right from hardware up. It's one integrated stack with no publicly accessible open protocols like NFS. So that's what we call logical air gap. Our storage is built in and with native immutability. What is it? It's an append-only file system. So there's no way attackers, even if they hack into Rubrik, can go modify and delete those backups. Of course, all of these are encrypted, and we have multiple layers of access management. Everything requires multi-factor authentication, including CLI in our SaaS as well. And granular access, and we granular access control and make sure only the right people can make changes. Plus, even if you have insider threat, we have quorum authentication requirements. So if you're doing something significant, you need 2 people to go authorize it. Retention lock ensures that the expiration can never be made prematurely. And if everything fails, we now have another feature called intelligent data lock, which makes sure anomalous deletions are preserved. So even when you go through all of those layers, if the data layer detects that some files are deleted that should not have been, or it's an anomalous behavior of backup deletion, we'll keep it around for a while and notify everybody. So it takes a lot just to keep the backups safe. And we are so sure of this is that we have a $10 million ransomware recovery warranty, right? This just touches the backup and recovery part of it. Beyond that, we now can identify multiple strains of ransomware. We detect monitor continuously. We are one of the first solutions to have VM level encryption. So instead of going into the VM and affecting the files, we also detect the whole VM image itself, because hypervisors do not have endpoint protection. And so detecting that is very critical. And ultimately, when an attack happens, you want to be able to recover fast, and you know where to recover. So we compute the blast radius, including at a file level or a VM level. And at the same time, we also scan these files for sensitive data. So double extortion is you got to pay money to recover the apps and pay money again to not have your data uploaded up in the cloud, right? So for the second, for preventing the second option, at least to get you better knowledge, we have a good idea of where your sensitive data lies. We constantly scan in the backups, so no agents in your primary environment. We scan the backups to find out where sensitive data is. And we'll tell you if the sensitive data was in the blast radius of the attack. And so this is likely to be exfiltrated, so you have a good idea. Many customers at the attack, they may find that there is no sensitive data in the blast radius, but then so they could call the bluff on the attackers and usually succeed, right? And so this is just about recovering it and finding where the data is in blast radius. Threat hunting is extremely important. So when a customer is attacked, they go into an incident response. In the incident response, they find out what are the malware signatures, and they want to go back in time to see when the attack occurred. Often requires lots of different restores and scanning. In our case, they could just give the malware signatures to Rubrik, and Rubrik can go back in the backup and scan all of that and give you a map of when the attack occurred, so they can really piece together the timeline of the attack very quickly and recover in an orchestrated way. So if you already have defined an application with dependencies, say you want to bring in your DNS first, and then you want to bring database first, and then your application server, you could define that orchestration all in a Rubrik, so we can do that recovery in an isolated environment or in a secondary data center. And even all of these recovery are also enhanced with your safe recovery options. So you only recover ones that are not attacked, not encrypted, with a snapshot that don't have malware. So you can actually rely on this recovery process. And last but not least, this recovery process can be automated and tested. So periodically, you can actually run this out and figure out how long it takes for you to recover, run some exercises around that. And this recovery can be also done in your VMware in the cloud as well. So these are some of the next level, features that we have at Rubrik.
Well, so because you talked a lot about the different features that Rubrik has, with so many different sponsors and vendors that are going to be at the show, obviously competition. What would you say is the thing that sets you guys out and makes you unique?
So we are the most complete offering in the market for cyber resilience. And it's what we mean by cyber resilience, cyber posture and cyber recovery. That is best risk, understanding of the risk of attack, and also understanding how to recover. In fact, this is further strengthened by a recent announcement of acquisition of Laminar Security. So just yesterday, we announced that we intend to acquire Laminar Security, and they just add more to our cyber posture capabilities, right? So this combination is unique. And so if a business is interested in how can they best protect their data and be able to get up and run in any situation, I think they should come and check out Rubrik.
Now, during VMware Explore, a lot of companies use this opportunity to launch a new announcement, showcase something new. Is Rubrik making any such announcements at the show?
We are. Now, there's definitely a new feature that we're announcing. So we're announcing AI-powered cyber recovery. So in a cyber recovery situation, there are lots of different scenarios, and it's pretty complex. There's a lot of stress on the administrators, and situations can be difficult where there are multiple sequence of steps need to be taken. Do you have a template that you have for a VM? What is the latest snapshot that was clean? What files were affected? Could you recover from a later snapshot the files that were not corrupted? So there are multi-step process that becomes complex, and we have developed large language model based assistant that can go guide the administrator through this complex recovery process. That is something we'll be announcing. That's going to be out later this year. Also, we are the only product in this market to do a VM level encryption detection. So we also want to highlight that, if a VM administrator actually turns out overnight when the backup was running, and that's often the time when cyber attacks happen, we usually can detect this pretty well and fast compared to other solutions that could be themselves running in VMware or environment, or monitoring tools that are running in VMware environment. And when they go to recover, we can definitely tell them, these are the set of VMs you got to recover. These are set of files that are affected. And so it just adds another weapon to the administrator's arsenal in terms of quickly recovering from attacks.
And so VMware at the show is going to be talking kind of big picture where they're going in the coming year. What are some of the themes and trends that Rubrik is interested in and looking into? And you obviously mentioned AI is a big component of that. So where do you see things going in 2024?
So many things. So if you look at our strategy, we want to make the cyber resilience very deep. We want it to be as simple to recover from a cyber event like it is for a regular disaster or any other recovery event. And it's a long way to go because cyber events have incident response complexities, and we want to make sure we are getting that. Cyber posture is where we are doing a lot of investment to make sure we can warn customers early about the risks they have and help them remediate those risks. In terms of general trends, so AI is huge. We are working on multiple initiatives to make sure that can not only guide, but also help administrators make the right decisions. Cloud is huge for us. In fact, our adoption in VMware on cloud in general has been increasing. So we protect VMware cloud disaster recovery between on-premises and the cloud. That's another topic that we are investing. Plus, in general, SaaS applications. And so, there's a lot more interest for customers in protecting SaaS applications, so we'll continue to be investing in protecting cloud and SaaS workloads.
Now, you've given us a great look into the company and the technology. Is there any way you can show us maybe a quick demo of what it looks like?
Absolutely, I'll be happy to. Let's jump into it.
All right.
Okay. All right, so here is our Rubrik Security Cloud. It is one console to manage all of your data in any location around the world in data centers, SaaS, or in the cloud. So let me just walk through this. In the cloud, it could be in any of the clouds, the data in those clouds, including VMware in the cloud, SaaS, in this case, M365, Exchange, OneDrive, and Teams. And the data center, we support a whole range of database and hypervisors, of course, vSphere VMs. And in this particular case, we are protecting 163 VMs across the world. And this is the left pane is all about data protection. We are protecting about 1,000 objects, and the data protection is completely automated and it's running by itself. Also on the right is ransomware monitoring. We've been continuously scanning all backup data for anomalies, and we actually have found 28 anomalous events you may want to investigate. They may be high indications of ransomware, or in some rare cases could be other events that trigger a similar pattern of behavior. Plus, we've been monitoring sensitive data discovery, which means where does sensitive data lie, and looks like about 34,000 sensitive data files exist, and about 7,000 of them with open access, which means a lot of people can access it. So it's definitely an area of risk. And I've been doing it pretty well in terms of defining ransomware recovery plan. And it's been enabled on 98% of the vSphere, which is really good. I have 20 plans, and 0 plans have been failing tests in the last 90 days. This is your cyber posture, right? It means your backups are running across the world. We have found some anomaly. We also have some sensitive data that needs to be remediated, but my recovery plans have been, running successfully. The obvious thing about, let me just jump into data protection for a moment. So if you look at the data center, in fact, let me switch back to the data protection app. We support a whole host of workloads for protection, and of course, VMware is one of the most popular workloads. And if you go to a VMware workload, you can see this is across the world, all the hosts, all the VMs that have been protected. You can protect by machine, folder, clusters, or even tags. So you can add tags to any new VMs that comes in, automatically gets protected. And once protected, you will have the snapshots for them all the time. And this VM happens protected with CDP, continuous data protection, which means you can actually recover any point in time to any moment in time. And you can go back and recover any of this. And the interesting thing is, irrespective of which workload you will protect, this interface is exactly the same. If you go back to the policy that it's protecting, it is protecting 4 hours, 3 days, 4 hours and retained for 3 days, 1 day for 7 days. Pretty easy to create a new policy. If I go to policies, creating a policy is very easy. The policy is common for all workloads. In fact, for these, we can create one policy that works across workloads and across all the regions. So this is one of the features of Rubrik, and you really don't have to create any jobs. So data protection is all automated. Once you get a policy and assign it, everything is automated from then on. You don't create any other jobs. So this is data protection. If I move to the ransomware monitoring, we have 28 anomalous events, and this has been a file analysis source. There's a bunch of events. We also inspect the data for anomalies. And if I go click to investigate those events, I can see that there could be some events that are whole VM encryption. Some events are file level encryption. In this case, I have a bunch of, this particular host, for example, has a whole bunch of files that has been encrypted. And if you want to recover from there, I can actually recover a full snapshot right from here for that host. I can go back and choose a snapshot that has a clean, clean recovery point. And I have a whole bunch of options to recover this VM, including export, in-place recovery, live mount, instant recovery, and so on. In case I've defined ransomware recovery plan, let me go back to ransomware anomalies. I can recover multiple hosts at the same time. So in this particular case, I have a recovery plan here, and I can actually go start cyber recovery, and I could choose a recovery plan that has these 2 objects, and I'll be able to go recover them together in one shot. In many cases, customers love to recover them in an isolated network, so you can go scan them and test them and so on. But usually, usually customers, what they do is make sure they know these anomalies, investigate this in the Rubrik itself. And so if you want to investigate inside Rubrik itself, we do what's called a threat hunt. Typically, when we have a signature for an anomaly, we can go back and launch a threat hunt against the backup. So you go say, hey, these are a couple of, these are the bunch of objects. Here's a signature. Why don't you go search for these signatures? So I can start a threat hunt where I can start it with a Yara rule or a file hash or a file pattern and launch it against a series of hosts. And if you look at this list of threat hunts already out there, this is how we do it. We can say, hey, it'll come back and say, these are the hosts and match this Yara rule. And the earliest match was July 29, right? So it was first attacked at the time. So these tools are extremely, useful for ransomware investigator. But even otherwise, even a security operations center and customers, they're usually very curious about this. In fact, we enable these functionality right into customer SOC. If you're using Palo Alto, if you're using Azure Sentinel, you can let your SOC administrators run these kind of threat hunts right in here. Of course, we have a data security command center that gives you a glimpse of how you've configured it. We want to make sure, in order to get the best out of Rubrik, you want to make sure you've done the best you can in configuring it properly. In this particular environment, platform security has been well configured. That means that you have multi-factor authentication. All of those things are configured properly. The only thing remaining is configuring security cloud support portal. On the other hand, data protection and recovery is core. We could put more SLA domains or policies under retention lock. Currently, that's not set up. This is the guidance for customers to go do so. So this is the kind of a VP level dashboard that gives you your score on how well you're leveraging Rubrik to protect. We have other features. Orchestrated sensitive data recovery talks about where does sensitive data lie in your environment, so you can go remediate it. And also we have orchestrated application recovery, which is cyber recovery, where you can create recovery plans, you can test recovery plans, and save them and have them run at an automated schedule. So it's a whole arsenal of tools available, all designed to get you and your business up and running very fast after a cyber event, or in the best case, never have such an incident at all.
Well, that was a great demo. I think that a lot of folks who are watching it are going to want to come learn more about Rubrik and about the technology and the product. If they're not at VMware Explore and they can't come to your booth, what's the next best thing for folks who are watching this video? What else can they do to come learn more about some of the things we talked about today?
Certainly, David. So if you're at VMworld, of course, come and visit our booth, and we have a bunch of demos lined up for you. But if you cannot attend, please go to Rubrik.com. We have a whole wealth of information there, including means to contact our sales team that'll be very happy to give you more detailed information. You may also get an email from us, all the attendees of VMworld, with some material that definitely would be very interesting for you to know more about Rubrik.
Great. Well, we look forward to talking with you in person at the show.
Look forward to being there.
All right.